Not started yet. Welcome to the Skool Buddies live call. This week it's going to be a half-hour call. And on that note, I want to ask maybe if this time is no longer a good time for everybody. Does it overlap with other calls? Maybe we make a poll and find a new time? Or is it just coincidence? Last week, Jan was on a snowboard trip, for example, so we don't have to change the call for that. And Mark was also on a trip, right? Um, yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm open to adjust the time if need be.
Well, when it comes to me, I have to say that kids have English class right in the middle of this call. That's why I'm in the car at the moment. So it's kind of tough to fit everything in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I experienced that firsthand. He's got a tough life.
Yeah. We try to. We try to. So yeah, I don't know. So maybe different slot would be okay, but maybe pool would be best.
Yeah, yeah. And for Mark, does it overlap with other calls today for you?
Not if it stays where it is. If it moves earlier, it's going to be in collision with another call, and it used to be the case in the past, if I'm not mistaken. And if it wasn't that one, it was some different call that was clashing with another one. Later than this would be a problem because, well, at 7 I is pretty much our home dinner time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it just takes more like reminding, engaging. It makes sense, right? Because when I compare um, how much time I spend with school buddies compared to the video journey, um, yeah, there should be more coming from my side to have this active.
I have to admit, today I lost track of the time. I was doing something else.
Yeah, that no worries. So you don't mind, for example, that I pinged you by DM,
No, not at
right?
all. I mean,
Yeah,
when I came back, I realized, hold on a second, it's nearly half six. I need to
yeah,
get online.
yeah. What I was just talking about with Jan, because we were on the call just ourselves for quite a bit. I was asking, how did you end up on school? Because Jan is quite young, right?
Mhm.
And from asking all the questions, what I then found is that Jan has this drive to have his own business, right? And so I think that's something that all of us here on this call, Mindy, Irfan, you, Mark, myself, have in common, right? So that was interesting to learn that it wasn't anything like specific niche, but that drive to have our own business. And the reason why I then ask more questions of Jan is because over this weekend, I suddenly realized that it matters a lot what generation we are. Because I, as a Generation X, for example, I grew up analog, right? There was no digital. And as an adult, then we entered the digital world. So Generation X, they have this bridging ability between analog and digital, right?
So do
But
we.
then younger generations like Jan, they basically grew up digital from the start, right? And so now when we translate this to the video journey, for example, my generation, there is many people who struggle being on video to make a video for their community on YouTube, etc., etc. But then I suddenly realized, what about someone like Jan, who grows up, walking to school, doing video calls with his friends, right? A person like that is probably not going to struggle when then as a obviously Jan is already here now, but let's say Jan would find school at 10 years later. Jan most likely is not going to struggle to make a video. So in other words, probably doesn't need the video journey. And then I realized when we have a community, we probably should um, either target a specific age group, because I then also found out that millennials, they like 30-day challenges, um, whereas the next generation, Gen Z, I think, they want weekly stuff. And we as X maybe want something completely different, right? If that makes sense. So if we don't know what generation we have in our community, how do we know how to talk to them or what they need?
I would like to add something to that. There's also the issue of taking the different generations that you mentioned. You have to look at where they are in their life right now. So somebody who, for example, is in Jan's age bracket, for the most part, they're just going through education, having fun, enjoying music, that sort of thing, and playing games for the most part. The exceptions, like Jan, are out there making a future for themselves or learning how to.
Right.
Take, for example, our generation, me, Irfan, Mindy. That is something else. We're a little more advanced in age. Some of us already have families, possibly even children. And most likely we're in that phase where we have some money, some energy, but not much time. And then you've got the elder generations. So essentially, there's this interplay of time, energy, and money. So with the older generations, for the most part, if they have been diligent, they already have money to live off. They have the time, but they lack the energy.
I think what that translates to, Mark, is that if we want to make it easy for ourselves to start off with, as a community owner, to cater to our age bracket, because
Mhm.
we know what we're dealing with and what we struggle with. Whereas if we cater to another generation, especially if it's like, not the next one, because there's always this. And by the way, Jan, I want to share this with you. My mentor once told me, and I found that, well, obviously, I want to share it with all of you guys, but my mentor once told me, he said, you know what, Dan? Um, we are more advanced than our parents. So there's an evolution also of the mind, right? So we are more advanced than our parents. And I was like, yeah, I think that, right? Because we have this, like, parents don't understand what I'm doing, etc., etc. And at the same time, he said, but that means that our children are more advanced than we are, right? Because it's the next generation. And so from me to Mark, Mindy, Irvan, to Jan is the most adapted to deal with today's world, even though Jan is very young. And so Jan setting up stuff for his age old or the generation, following or before, is much easier for Jan than if Jan had to produce some kind of product that caters to my age group. He wouldn't know how, right? And vice versa. And so maybe we should yeah, make sure that when we target, not so this is, I might finally be getting to what I want to say. So instead of just the niche, right? So for example, rapid learning for Mark, rapid learning for your age bracket, and video journey for, yeah, my generation and maybe, yeah, millennials. But beyond that, I feel people don't have a need. They do that naturally what for my generation is a challenge.
Yeah, again, it depends on what environment the person in question is already familiar with.
Yeah, 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 and that's why I then was not surprised that Jan said he joined because he's interested in business, right? Because that's the common denominator.
Mhm.
Somebody's playing disco here. What's happening?
Irfan, this connection must be playing up.
Was it Irfan or Mindy?
No,
I
no, it's
couldn't
me.
see.
It's me. I'm in underground garage, so
Oh, that was funny.
it's me.
Do you, Irfan, if you can hear us, do you see that in your community as well, that different ages have different, yeah, challenges
Mhm.
with what you do on YouTube?
Mhm. What I have noticed is like I don't know how to explain it, but you can have effect on when it comes to your effect, you can have effects on younger generation and also on generation above you if you do the job the right way, let's say it like that, in a sense of giving knowledge, giving educating people. Like I have not seen problems with younger generation approaching me for the knowledge or with the generation above doing the same thing. What I have seen is, yes, that with AI, like it gets used a lot in YouTube stuff, thumbnails or SEO or whatever. And the younger generation is definitely much more open to the use of AI, while the Gen, the X, or which one? I forgot. I forgot what is the.
The millennial, you guys are millennial.
Yeah, I am the millennial. The above is Gen
X,
X. Yeah,
yeah,
X. At least in my community, the Gen X is not struggling, but just hesitant to the use, like not trusting the
yeah,
use of technology as much as the, yeah, Gen Z, for example. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that
and
is
so
that's
yeah,
what I have that's what I have noticed the most. Like they will do both, everything they need to do on YouTube, but the implementation of stuff that helps you is a little bit skeptic when it comes to the Gen X. At least in the majority cases, of course, you always have exceptions like you, Dan, for example.
exceptions how? Oh, like
Just
you mean I'm an exception?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
in a use of
yeah, yeah,
Maya,
of course.
for example. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, of course. You have these outlier.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking that us as community owners, if we have a niche, so not school buddies. So in school buddies, I would see it's my job to make people aware of what do Gen Z need, what do millennials need, that kind of thing. Whereas when we have a niched community, maybe it's better if we decide on where can we have the most impact and then create our courses or coaching around that.
What I was trying to say at the beginning, like I have seen that with Andrew Kirby and his synthesizer community, like the vast majority of members in that group are around Andrew's age or little bit younger, little bit older, couple of years here and there, like I don't know, maybe 80%, 70, 80% of people I see. And then that got me to a thinking of how community owner dictates the culture, or who he attracts basically to his community, either by the things that he has done or by the knowledge he's giving at the moment. Yeah. That was like good example for me of how someone attracts people similar to him in at least age and wants, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It then actually, it's the opposite of what I was saying just before, that maybe we should cater to our age bracket, right? Rather than trying to all of them, but that simultaneously means that that's the people we attract. It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I'll say one thing. When I look at what I've done in my career, and even with my private tuition, and even what I'm doing in school, I'm noticing that there is no restriction based on age in terms of which people I end up attracting to the community. There are people who are old enough to be my to be my dad or mother,
Mm,
to give you an idea. But there are also people who are young enough to be a younger sibling, if not my son.
mm.
I agree. I agree. And I have the same structure. What I was mentioning with Kirby, I just think that when you got to a point of a group of 30K people, then it's like a visible the difference between the members. It's like much more visible. Like at some point, we will probably, or one group will probably gravitate to us more at some point, when you can differentiate them. At the moment, like with 200 members, it's all over the place.
Mhm.
So you get younger and older also, like you get everything. But this was just an example of, on a big scale, how certain type gravitates to certain type.
Yeah, I just looked up the current member count of Kirby, and it's gone up a bit since last time I checked.
Yeah.
So there's 35K members, um, and maybe out of those 35K, the ones that we see active in the community are his age group and that are attracted to him, right? And then maybe you have younger ones, older ones who are
Yeah.
not attractive,
Yeah.
active.
And
Yeah,
can I share something else?
sure.
Because I know of his scaling group where he has his offer, and I was on calls with Adian a couple of times to get into that group. It was definitely too pricey for me. But the fun fact is that in that group, the majority of people, because I know almost all of them from synthesizer, the majority of people are already established, not established, older entrepreneurs, not Kirby age, let's say it like that, just
Yeah.
not Kirby age, just guys who are, serious, been in the business for a few years and now just need a roadmap, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like when it comes to the paid stuff, then it doesn't matter maybe anymore. But when it comes to the free stuff, yeah.
yeah,
I'll say one thing on that as an add-on. All the evidence you need is simply from looking at the leaderboards inside of that comment. You'll get
Yeah.
not the regular comments. I'm not even talking about scaling here. So
Yeah.
yes, there are people, for example, who are approaching 50 or over 50 who were some of the first to join scaling. I know
Yeah.
at least five people personally
Yeah, exactly.
back at the time that they released scaling. who jumped right into it.
And that makes sense. Why? Because people who are older have more experience in um, with their bullshit detector, right? To see whether something is legit or whether something is not legit. So they have that better discernment, and also they um, probably are more likely to have the money to invest, and maybe also the mindset of investing in one's education, right? Whereas younger people, and here I'm talking about how I was, right? I don't know how younger people are now, but in general, I think when we are younger, um, we want things fast without doing any work, and part of investing money is also work, right? It's like we
Mhm.
rather use that money to party or for a new car or whatever it is, right? When we're younger, and so an older person, they've been there, done that, and so they're more willing to. I'm not surprised at all to hear this, that they're of an
Yeah.
older bracket. Yeah. By the way, has people noticed the School Cat joined us? Is this like no? It's not the first time, but hello.
Hello,
Meow.
Meow.
humans. How is it?
Meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yeah,
How is everybody doing? An interesting conversation, by the way. I love listening to it.
cool for joining.
Yeah, I was just able to make it. The circumstances and the stars are aligned tonight, I think.
Very nice. So we have to make sure to also send a invite to the School Cat. Yeah,
A reminder. Reminder.
yeah, yeah. That's what
Mhm.
I meant. A reminder.
Yeah, I would guess that the kittens are being quiet right now.
Oh, right now. Yeah, it was the best wording. Yeah, for
Why do you think I'm sitting in garage in dark at the moment?
because nobody can find it. Either it's the garage or the toilet.
No, he's playing hide and seek.
Exactly.
How long will it take them to find him?
Exactly.
Depends on how important it is and how, I don't know, how much in a hurry Irfan's wife is.
Exactly. The government.
Yeah, the government. That's true.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to interrupt your conversation.
No, no. I just wanted to welcome you to the call because it's not often that we have the honor of having the School Cat on a call.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm glad to have the time. The me
Nice,
time, I would call it.
very nice. Um, by the way, this just reminded me when I said to send out reminders to people about the call. Have you guys noticed changes in, are the notifications now coming in more timely?
Or what?
Not DMs actually, the notifications, because on the last call I think we talked about that for the ones who were on the call. I mentioned that, sometimes when I read a notification, it's like 20 minutes delayed or something. So the event that I was made aware of already happened, kind of.
Mm-mm.
And
Ooh,
apparently
interesting.
it
I don't
had to
know
do
how.
with school scaling, that the notifications were lagging behind.
Yeah, as far as I experience it, I think the emails take about 5 minutes, just from my end. But I guess it depends on which time and date you are sending those notifications out.
Yeah, I meant, notifications like, for example, I make a post 15 minutes before the call starts, this one, right? And in an ideal world, that notification should reach you like when I send it, so that in the next 15 minutes, you might read that notification and then on the hour you join the call, right? But what I've noticed with other people doing the same, when the notification comes in my inbox, even though I'm online, it's like, 20 minutes delayed. And
Yeah,
so,
there's a delay up to 32 minutes at the moment, depending on how big your account is and who is posting at the same time. So if you do
yeah.
that at the moment that it's like school news or something, then it's up to like 32 minutes. It was last week. But then after like 1/2 an hour after, it dropped immediately back to 2 seconds. So it's going up and down.
So, in other words, let me get my head around. Schoolers with 200,000 members, if they make a post that then notifies 200,000 people, then it clogs up the system, kind of, or
No,
any
we
other.
also had it with Ryan. We had like almost 22 minutes or something. So we tested it out, and then Sam replied with the whole stat of that of how it's going up and down
Yeah.
because of
Of,
it being busy, because of the growing. He said so.
yeah, because of scaling, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just thinking out loud here because of, yeah, one thing I do is 15 minutes before this call, I make a post, and theoretically, you guys should receive that, right? Before the call starts, ideally. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense to me to make it like an hour before, because then you forget again until the call actually happens. How do you guys handle it in your communities?
I can personally just say that I do send or use the mailing function in a post just that day. And in the best case scenario, advertise it some days earlier, if not a week before. I've been quite sloppy with it the last week and the last 2 weeks. Um, but the past showed that it works quite well to advertise it over a period of time.
Yeah, that that makes sense if it's, to me.
Sorry, I need to mute myself for a second, but I will be listening.
Yeah, no worries. That makes sense to me if it's like a one-off call kind of thing, or a special event. But if it's like a weekly call, um, yeah, you don't really promote that call during the whole week just for that call, right? I think it then comes down to, does the call provide enough value? Because if it does, then people will show up. If it doesn't, then people might want to do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have my own community, but I think personally, like making a post 24 hours before is a pretty good idea, because then the people know exactly at what time it is going to be for them at the next day.
Yeah,
Something similar, like the best attendance I had was I made a post 3 days before, then 24 hours before, and then 1 hour before the call, like 3 times. And this is for the free members, for everyone. But then I have seen that if you make a post about your premium or VIP call, whatever it is, like, yeah, it gets no likes even from the premium VIP members. So I was like, I'm gonna stop doing these posts for other calls and just for everyone basically.
yeah. So it depends how big the community is or how many members in that specific group.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
would you do that for a weekly call, 3 days before, and then 1 day
Yeah,
before,
of
and
course.
1 hour before?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No.
So it kind of like seems a bit too much when it's a weekly call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. 1 day reminder, but you get email
Yeah, but that's
also.
yeah,
Email reminder that you have a School Buddies call in 24 hours, for example. Like I get that.
yeah.
And
Everybody does. But the
yeah,
thing is, who checks their email and who doesn't?
yeah.
I think nowadays, I think probably email has less effect than if we make a post the day before. I think a post the day before could make sense. We'll try that.
There's one other thing which is like uh, a psychic, or how do you call it, mentality thinking.
Yeah,
You get email which is auto reply from school, auto send from school that you have this call, or you get a post from community owner notifying you in a nice post that you're gonna have a call tomorrow. Like I would rather see a post from community owner than a email, auto email from school.
very good point.
Yeah.
So the event where we can check the box, send a reminder 1 day before,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uncheck that, and instead of that, send an email, as in make a post
Yep.
and send that as an email.
Mm.
Um, one last question before we have to stop the call because it's on the top of the hour. Have you guys noticed what is the difference when you make a post and you say, send the email to everyone? What's the difference between doing that and not doing that? Because when an admin makes a post, it goes to their email anyway.
No, it does not if they have turned off the notifications in the
Okay, so that's the only
settings.
difference, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If
An
they
email
turn
blast
it off,
will bypass that completely.
yeah, you override that.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And so because I haven't not turned it off when I test stuff, I get like the post and the one from the email, and I'm like, what's the point of the email if they're getting this one?
Yeah.
But yeah, if they turn on admin in the settings, this
Mm.
overrides it. Yeah.
But
Other
it's
good.
also
Yeah.
maybe
Sorry.
worth analyzing the engagement on the post if you turn the email notification on or not. When
Yes. Yes.
community owner makes a post, and when community owner makes a post and send an email blast to everyone.
Very
That,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
I will do that. Thanks guys for joining today. This
Pleasure.
was fun, and I look forward to the next one.
See you soon.
Yours.
See you
See you
next time.
soon.
Yours.
Bye. Thanks.